Okay, welcome to Monday. We'll start right off with, looks like we're looking at risk management today.
Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director. The financials for risk management were virtually unchanged from last month, so I didn't prepare those for
Okay.
y'all today. Save some time.
Scott Kaling, Risk Analyst. Good morning. I want to start off, excuse me.
We took his breath away.
Yeah. Wanted to start off in our presentation, just a few things that risk management is trying to do to change a little bit of the culture in the county for the better. One is the new hire orientation. We've gotten some really great feedback from HR, and we actually think it's going well. We made a couple of improvements with the new hire orientation, and we're continuing to do that. In fact, after this meeting, we'll have another one um, to meet more new hires. So another item that we have been doing is risk management's newsletter that we send out periodically, and we try to keep a pulse on safety and wellness for our employees, and then just overall engaging with other departments like we've been continuing doing, and just collaborating and figuring out ways on how to improve processes and other safety aspects. So we're going to start off with workers' compensation, and um, we've had 13 new claims as of May 1st. We had one new claim during that period, and then we had 5 that closed. So that gives us 9 currently, with 9 current open claims, with a large proportion of them being aged claims that are more severe. Um, this so to try to keep things comparable, this graph kind of shows a lot of information. So I'm going to go through this and try to explain this as best as I can. So the orange bars is the total amount paid to May 31st for each year, going back to 2020. So like 2025, we have total amount paid is 125,000. And then that blue bar is what we paid in May. And this is actual paid. So in May, we had paid $34,000 in 2025. The lowest number in the white box is claims that were opened that year to May 31st, to try to keep everything consistent. So 2025, right now we have 9 claims, and in 2024 we had 11, and so on and so forth. So I was able to pull a little bit of averages for what claims were costing per day, and that is the boxed numbers right below the blue lines. So that is showing an average cost, and that is broken down by the total amount up to May 31st by the number of claims also open in that year. And then the very, I already talked about the top bar. So as you could see in 2021, there's a couple peaks, 2021 and 2022. I had some major surgeries that year. We had 3, and that is why the average of that cost per claim is so high, because there's only 6 claims up to May 31st in 2021, and half of them were major surgeries. 2022, same story, different claims, but different injuries with substantial loss. So there's a tiny bit of improvement from 2024 to 2025. So that's some good news right there. We've had a lower number in claims, and our cost up to May 31st is about 20 grand from the previous year. So that's somewhat of an improvement. And the reason why 88 or number is higher than last year's for our average claim or average cost per claim per day is because we had less claims because it's just an average. So, but that's not too high. It's about $5 more. So I would consider that a win as well.
Scott, are there any variables that we can control to bring that cost down?
From what we're doing, the only thing I would say that would bring your costs down is avoiding injuries altogether. That's pretty much the only way you can combat this, because once a claim is open, there's not a lot that can go on with the claim to bring down its cost besides just administrative role stuff.
So the amount of time that the claim's open doesn't affect its cost per day?
It does, but there's not really anything the county can do as a whole for that. So like a good example is somebody rolls their ankle, right? And they're put on 2 weeks. That claim isn't going to be that expensive, right? But if you take another injury, let's say a shoulder injury, and they need surgery, that one's going to be substantially higher, regardless of how many days it is. So the average kind of it's really just an average on the year, not really per claim. I could get you that too. That's going to take a little bit more work just because actuary costs are, I'm still working with that. I have to go back to historical data to really input that because our costs, I have the bulk number of them, but to associate them to a claim is what's taking me the longest. So this is just an average for the year, or up to May 31st in this case. I think that's everything on this. Did anybody else have any questions? So this one, just to, so I pulled data back from 2015. I just wanted to see what gains we had made in trying to close claims as fast as we can, or as efficient as we can. And these numbers are the number of claims closed in 2 weeks of opening, and there's not a lot. We've made some substantial gains this year, actually this last April, to close a lot of these claims out that we're getting in. And again, it's just administrative role. So trying to close the gap on getting these claims that can be closed in 2 weeks. I would like to do a cost analysis breakdown on that to see what type of money we're saving, how early we're closing these claims out. But then again, it also comes back to severity, because sometimes severity will outweigh no matter what. So it's just giving you sort of a picture of what type of, or what improvements we are trying to make on claims administration.
Scott, is workers' comp where we have the third party we work with?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And she has essentially gained us as her sole account. So they had moved some people around. So she's practically just working with us right now. So it's a good thing. I broke this down by department. um, uh, from the number of claims that we had from 2025 this year and compared to last year. Um, we made some gains in some departments. Um, roads administration had stayed consistent from this year and last year, but the jail had 3 injuries in the first quarter, compared to 0 injuries for the whole entire year of 2024. So that one's probably my fault, because I acknowledged it. And so when you acknowledge something like that, of course it happens, right? So Sheriff's Department also had 1 more injury than last year, but all the other departments that had fallen off from last year, I believe that's a really good sign, because the other departments, like clerks and maybe coroner's office, where it's less of a risk class in jobs, um, it makes more sense just data and analytically that you would have your higher risk class injuries happen. So that is, I think, a good sign that we're moving in the right direction. Less departments having less injuries. Also, the amount of departments having injuries as well.
Just as a sideline question, Scott, with, with workers' comp, somebody gets injured, does their negligence play a role in that?
That's a really good question. It depends during the investigation. If it's negligence involving other individuals, no, it typically doesn't. We will cover, if they get injured, we will cover it. Unless if it's
What if they're,
pre-existing or,
what if they're not following like a safety procedure when they're like disassembling something? And
sure.
does that fall in that? They don't wear the hard hat, or they don't do?
Yeah. So that is where safety and training come in. Holding them accountable is really the county's responsibility. Workers' comp doesn't care if they did it right or wrong. The state, LNI, doesn't care. So it would be on the county. So let's say somebody, in your example, somebody was under a car trying to fix something and they hit their head, right? If there were training, and this just as an example, if there was training on how to get out from underneath the car and they didn't follow it, and they've been talked to about it before, then some sort of action would take place within the county. But regardless, it would still be covered by LNI.
So yeah, that's my question. So there's nothing we can really do to mitigate it. Once the claim's opened, they're gonna pay it and go through with it.
Yes, unless if there's something substantial in the claim, falsified comments or a falsified claim. But I would say 9 times out of 10, we're gonna own up to it. We're gonna pay it. All right, if there's no more questions on workers' comp, this is liability claims. So as of May 1st, we have 11 open, and this is just to back up. This is with the risk pool. This is our liabilities claims. So we've had 11 since May 1st. We didn't close any. We didn't get any new, but we have almost all of them in litigation, except for 1. So, yeah. And that's it. Any other questions?
How do we, if a third party injures somebody on a road crew, how does that fall into our responsibilities or versus the person who causes the injuries?
Well, That would be covered under workers' comp, regardless of who's at fault. If another work crew from like another city, right, runs into us, we could file for damages, but regardless, that claim is going to be with us.
Okay.
Are there cases where we go after third-party insurance companies in situations like that?
Possibly. It depends on what it is. It would have to be pretty serious. It would have to be negligent for us to do that. Be like proving negligence for like a vehicle accident and be kind of the same thing. Like if they were in the wrong, but I don't know how that would actually work in the realm of insurance, because Title 51 kind of covers everything. So as far as workers' comp goes, unless if it was something that we could prove that it was negligence or it was it was something that was premeditated or something like that, it would be kind of hard to prove. But I mean, it's possible, I guess. Thank you.
Good to go.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we don't have everybody here. See, we have risk, we have corrections, we have building and planning. The only thing, public works and facility, Sean was here. How about the people that are here? We can at least go over their items and so they can get on with their day if they want to.
Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director, sitting in for Shelley. She's at a conference in Seattle for the next couple of days. We actually have one item. I believe it's a public hearing for the code change for music festivals.
Oh, the music festival
Yeah,
change.
so we presented that previously when we requested the hearing, and tomorrow is the actual hearing.
Okay. If I remember right, we're amending a code from like the 70s.
From the 70s.
And I think we're trying to upgrade the insurance requirements and stuff have changed.
Bring it
pretty
all up to date.
drastically
Mhm.
since that period of time.
Yep. And
Okay.
bring the whole thing up to date. And to my knowledge, we haven't received any comments in our office or anything like any
On-
written comments. So
No old hippies coming in and yelling at you. Okay. Bryn, do you want to talk on yours?
Good morning, Marin Fox, Director of Corrections. We have the request for proposals for our medical contract at the jail. That's what's on the agenda for us tomorrow, the request for bids. As you know, NAFCAR, our current medical company, has indicated they would like to withdraw from essentially the state of Washington or with a very significant price increase. They may still bid on it, but we'll see.
And what's their end date? Is it September? Am I
September
remembering
30.
that right?
Yeah. Yep.
What's the landscape look like for getting any bids?
I think there's at least two companies that are in the mix. I've spoken with a few, went to the WASPIC conference week before last, and there's a company that is there are two companies that are starting to get into business in the state of Washington. So I'm cautiously optimistic, at least about getting bids. I do anticipate they will not be lower than what we have now, for sure.
Yeah, these bids, kind of frighten me, what you're gonna see.
Yes, I agree. All right. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mike, can you take this one?
Morning, Mike Wilson, Building and Planning. I have one item on the agenda tomorrow. It's an interlocal agreement with City of Longview, similar to what we've done with City of Kelso. Pretty standard fare. I don't anticipate there to be any problems. It should be a pretty smooth action.
This is like to handle their overflow or when they're on vacation and stuff
Yeah.
like that, same as we do for Kelso.
Right, and Longview's department is slightly larger, so I don't anticipate there would be much activity. But it's good, cross boundaries, maintaining some continuity and providing service where we can fill in.
Have we had a contract with Longview before? Are we just
No.
renewing one? No, so this is new.
No, it's word spreads around. We have the capability, the staffing, and knowledge of the area. Contractors are confident with our abilities to do the work. So, it just seems to be a reasonable fit.
And our relationship with Castle Rock, we've been doing that for a while and that's been going good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they approached us and same way, City of Longview approached us,
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
word gets around and, find it very useful. I mean, we're here anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're covering the same territory.
Sure. Well, I think it's a sign that, it's a good sign when the county and municipalities can work together to help each other in ways like this. So it's good.
Yeah, even all through the Southwest region, because we meet regularly with other building officials and so forth. And, maintaining a consistency, seeing things the same way because, the code comes down from Olympia and there's, you can look at it through the lens one way or, very harshly in another way. And so, we endeavor to, maintain that consistency of the way we see things and interpret things. So, and that's especially true here, Longview, Kelso, the county at large. And then, of course, even moving into Clark County, we're trying to endeavor to see, things the same way, interpret things the same way so that, one's not played against the other. It's that often, it can destroy the reputation of a department. So.
Do you have any idea or indication how much activity this is going to generate for us?
Pardon me?
Do you have any feel for how much activity this will generate for us from the city?
I don't expect that will be a lot. Like I said, they have a couple of people. So the likeliness of both being out simultaneously is pretty remote, but it can happen. And they can also be overwhelmed where one person can't handle it. And that's, it's just a wise move on their part to, seek, alternatives in such cases. So.
Okay.
So currently we do a lot more than this for Castle Rock.
Right.
It's a bigger scope and then we do Kelso and we do Longview.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Kelso Longview will just simply be coverage for vacations and time
Right.
off, whatever the case is. Whereas as City of Castle Rock, we are handling the functions of their building official in limited capacity.
Plus, didn't we take on some flood management work? Am I
Yes.
close on that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, the agreement was augmented to include that as well. And, it's something of a trial and error, I think, on their part. They don't really, in some part, maybe not realize what the full scope of a building official is because their city code defines it in one way. And so, they're navigating through it as we are. So,
Yeah.
and so far it's been successful.
Perfect.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
while we wait for the others to come in, and they may not be here till 10. They don't have to be here till 10, so, okay. And that would be Gina, I hear you're on. Do you want to run over a couple of these applications?
Morning, Gina James, Health and Human Services. Sure. I don't know a lot about what applications have come in. I just want to make sure to answer questions about membership and what we have open. It looks like
Yeah.
there might be an appointment to the Homeless Housing Task Force. So we do have an opening there. We currently have 13 members and can have up to 15.
Okay. How about veterans? We have two of them here for veterans.
We do have 2 openings on the Veterans Advisory Board. Jim Stonier recently resigned, so his position is
did?
open. Mm-hmm.
Well, sad to hear that.
Yeah, me too. But he's still at the Veterans Service Center, volunteering there. He just had stepped down from the advisory board, so. And then one other member whose term had expired, and we've had a hard time getting in touch with him, and so we're his term is up. So we do have 2 openings on the Veterans Advisory Board.
Okay. And,
And I know last time we spoke, Elisa White came up for the homeless housing.
yeah,
task
and I
force.
know you're gonna have a
That's
conversation.
good. I called her, good conversation. She's already involved, in the community with a lot of this stuff, and she just wants to help, in that area, in the unhoused. Really good conversation. She seems very level-headed. I don't think I'd have a problem recommending her.
Okay,
On her application on any other organization memberships or currently holder positions that she occupies, she's got nothing on there.
Yeah, so she's a certified peer support specialist.
Okay,
So she works with those people and has had jobs within that industry. So
okay,
she doesn't consider her job as part of, she doesn't sit on any boards, it's what she does for work.
okay.
Yeah.
okay. I'm okay with that then. The 2 on the Veterans Board, Mr.
Jim
Oh.
Shea and
Yeah, Todd Bose. I hope I say that right. Mr. Bose looks like a career in the Coast Guard and involved with Longview Noon Rotary, YMCA, Habitat.
On paper,
Yeah, they both seem pretty reasonable
Mhm.
to me. We all kind of thinking that?
yeah.
We're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. That takes care of 3 of them. All right. Thanks, Gina.
Okay, thank you.
And then, isn't there a 4th one there?
Board of Equalization, that's really run by our office. And this is has some kind of semi-judicial stuff because I have to swear these people in when they're brand new.
Correct.
And they
Actual hearings.
Purvy's our liaison to that group.
She is the clerk of the board for the Board of Equalization.
And we must have an opening. Okay,
Yes, the chairman, Laura Yoder, she has moved to a different state, so she's no longer able to serve.
or moved out of state?
Yes.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Her husband kind of helped run the rodeo for years and years and years. He's gonna be missed. I'm assuming they moved together.
Now they're Washingtonian running for the hills.
Yeah. Well, once again, on paper, I don't see anything that gives me concern. I don't know, you guys,
I personally know Cameron.
Do ya?
He's very educated. He graduated from law school, is a business owner in our area, owns several properties throughout Cowlitz County, in Castle Rock, Kalama, Longview, Woodland. So I think he would bring a perspective from a business owner standpoint.
okay.
And a landowner and the guy's smart. I mean, he is very smart.
Satisfies me. I'm gonna miss Laura. She did a good job on that, but I think we're good with that. So that takes care of those. Give you a brief update on a couple things I chatted about back in Washington DC that I think are worthy. The number one item was meeting with Steve Kopecky, who he's not. You have a regional manager for Army Corps down in Portland, Regina, however she says it, Regina, I think is how he kept saying it. And then he's above her. He runs not the whole United States, but he runs a section that's out in here. Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the questions that we had heard is that that had been communicated that we had lost funding for the SRS, the raise on the silt retention system up in Tootle. And he came back, he said, no, we got full funding for that. They got full funding for a 10-foot raise. It's available for 2 more raises. They can do this one and then there's one more, and they got full funding for a 10-foot raise. So that will be done. It's only, and it's needed because it's only retaining like 16% now. It's very inefficient. And the hope, the last time I talked to Regina, was that when the raise was done, it would pull back so much silt that the rivers have a natural flushing action that's just being overwhelmed right now, and they're hoping that retaining more like it should will help the rivers expel some of that. Remains to be seen.
Spelled to where? To the Columbia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over time, it'll, well, they'll dredge to Columbia because it's a maritime freeway. So if we can get it down to Columbia, if we get bulldozer and push it to Columbia, they'll get rid of it.
I didn't realize, but Port of Longview is responsible for dredging. The bulk of that they have to do right in front of the port, which is where most of that settles, right?
Settled
there
right in there.
front of those first 2 berths.
Yeah,
So the port has to pay to keep that dredged.
keep that.
So that's not even the Army Corps of Engineers
Yeah.
taking care of that.
So that was the good news with the Corps. The bad news is we don't know because they haven't seen the budget. We've had an allocation in the budgets to monitor. And we don't know if it's going to be in there this year and they've actually extended the monitor. They want to put more sensors in a couple different places and watch where the silt is going. But CFM, our lobby firm, has put in a placeholder for an ask for that if it doesn't show up in the budget. So we're hoping that comes through. I did talk to him a little bit about, my observations and talking with neighbors about the old landfill in Castle Rock being unearthed and different things. And they gave me, and we were going to put something with the local Corps. They gave me some that, not really to fix it, but to kind of help us with the engineering part of it. Am I pretty close on that? Yeah. So we'll see if we can get a little help there, but.
I find it interesting that the monitoring thing, we could call them and say, we have natural monitors, just go take a look at Longview and Kelso's water intakes, and they're under 3 to 5 feet of
Yeah.
sediment. I mean, that's
Well,
pretty good monitoring.
Castle Rock too, where their treatment plant expels, it's getting to the point of depth that it will start causing problems with EPA. So it's a battle, and the port is working on, and they've been working on it for a few years, but it's getting closer to try and we want to get their authority expanded. Their authority is flood control.
Yeah.
We want to expand it to, I think the port is actually trying to look at getting Cowlitz River designated as a commercial waterway, because in that navigable, because in that changes a lot of things. And they've been working on that for a long time, and I think that's getting a little more traction, so we'll see. But there's a couple different tacks. They're working on that, and then my ask to all our two senators and our rep was, we would like to see that authority expand too and start looking at migration and silt buildup.
I think, I can't imagine monitoring is a big deal. Every summer they can walk from Castle Rock to the mouth of the Cowlitz and not even get their ankles wet.
Yeah, these people, they just all, as you're probably becoming aware, they all work off of data, and if they don't have data, they don't want to do anything. So we had a good conversation. We had a had a conversation with Gluskamp Perez. We've talked in the past on housing, so we started, I wasn't there to talk about housing, but we started talking about housing, and then she asked me to stick around, and she was asking me some questions on, and I'll relay this to you and what I told her. We have, and I think Jamie Herrera Butler got through where you can euthanize seals to help the fish population. The way they do that now is they trap them, then they transport them, then they euthanize them, which in her mind, and I would agree with her, it's probably an inhumane way. If you trap anything, it starts causing stress, and then you're taking it a long way, and then you're euthanizing it, and it costs a lot of money to do it that way. And she would like to get it to the point, and she has another Representative Newhouse, which is on the other side of the aisle, is with her on this. She wants to change that where you can take care of the animal right where it is and cut out the expense, just make it more common sense. And
Sell tags.
Yeah.
that's a real possibility.
I guarantee. you
Generates
people spend more for
revenue.
that.
Yeah.
Takes care of the animal.
So my conversation with her in the follow-up phone conversation is, I said, if they believe that we can provide some help on that, I will present that to the board, and we would consider making a decision that how we could help you move that, because it seems like a common sense upgrade to what we're doing now.
And that problem it's only getting worse every year. There's more and more seals coming in
Yeah.
further and further up the tributaries.
So those are probably the two biggest key points. So USDA was a nice visit. We're thanking them for the help they're giving us. I will tell you that Army Corps said we're losing 10% of our staff through this voluntary thing, and they're worried about that because they're not being replaced. USDA is losing 30% through this, and they're worried about that. But in my mind, well, that's an opportunity to find more efficient ways to do what you're doing.
Amen. I was gonna say, they're the only ones worried about it.
Yeah. So,
Unfortunately, it'll run downhill for a while.
and then while we have the time, I'm open to, we all got, and I think you actually had an opportunity to meet with City of Longview, but it sounds like from the correspondence that I saw today that came to us, the City of Longview has asked the state for an allocation to help them run Hope Village through the end of September. Am I?
1.5 million.
Yeah, 1.5 million. And the indication is coming that Department of Commerce may be sending that through us as the conduit. I don't know quite how to handle that. I'm not.
It's gonna, I can imagine there's gonna be some discussions going on.
Yeah.
They've already talked to me in the presentation between Chris Collins.
Gina, did you want to weigh in on that? I don't think you've gotten a contract or anything, so we don't really know what it is. It's just kind of an awareness thing since we got the email on it today.
Yeah, and I've not received anything directly from Commerce that says, we're to be the fiscal agent for that particular project. What I know right now from Commerce is they're not requiring that funds go to a specific entity, that they'll come to us in the contract just like the other funds do, and then we decide how we want to allocate those funds. That's what I know right now. Obviously it could change when we get the contract, but I asked specifically about those funds because we've not received those before. They've historically gone directly to the city of Longview. So that's what I've been told thus far. Like I said, we don't have the contract yet, so it might look different when the contract actually comes. But from what I was told last week, there was not going to be a requirement that they go to a specific entity.
Okay. So I don't want to get too excited about it till we see it, but I think it's proper to be aware that we have something we're going to be taking a look at and how you want to handle that.
Well, and I was gonna say that Jennifer Wills and Chris Collins are under the impression that that money, they ask for it, they don't understand why it went where it's going, but they think that that's their money. That's their perspective on it. So it'd be interesting to see how we shake out on that.
Yeah. Well, I agree with Gina. I don't know why they wouldn't send it. They've always sent it direct
Yeah.
to Longview in the past, and why that would change. I'm not,
Why they put
not
us in
sure.
the middle
But,
of it, I don't know.
maybe when the contract actually arrives, it'll give some a little bit clearer direction on that. What else? Anything else you can think of from back that we talked about?
Just the tubes. Silver Lake.
Oh, yeah, the tunnel. Yeah. That's and I see Forest Service wants to come in, and that'd be a good topic for them to bring up on. Um, what do they call that? It's the tunnel where it drains directly to Silver Lake, and it kind of protects, the old,
The earth dam, or basically the
Yeah.
desert dam. that
Yeah.
is built in there, they're.
yeah,
them over for
kind
that.
of protects that. And they, of course, they had that bridge washout, and they've been trying to decide how to best do this, this tunnel. And they did, and I know they finally did core samples, and the core samples didn't come back very positive because ash is not a good foundation. So Forest Service has, from my knowledge, 3 or 4 different options that they'll be presenting. We did talk to Army Corps about it a little bit, but the thing is, Forest Service they own it and they have responsibility for it, but the Corps, everything that you do up there, eventually the Corps at some point in time has to sign off on it. When you ask the Corps, well, why don't you take it over? They don't want anything to do with this.
Of course.
So Forest Service will be coming out with a suggestion. It's a lot of money. It's big ticket item, and I don't know how they'll ever get it funded,
But
but
the core samples are on the sediment dam.
yeah, I don't know exactly every place they took them, but it was up in that area to kind of give an idea of what kind of structure they could build.
To try and support that dam.
Yeah,
All right, okay.
and the core samples,
Is that-
it's not the SRS, it's up higher than that. Yeah.
Right, if
Yeah.
that thing washes out, what kind of trouble are we in here?
Then what I heard from back then in our conversation, if that washes out, you got they said like a Mount St. Helens coming down that river again.
Yeah,
Yeah, we discussed this last week in the emergency management meeting. And that was the main concern, was that dam was gonna hold up. And
Yeah.
what they're doing to to try and support it. I didn't realize it was a naturally occurring dam. I didn't know that until we went to this meeting.
Yeah.
I was at this meeting, and there are people that are really working behind the scenes to try and make sure that that thing is supported and do what we can to make sure that it holds up.
Yeah. So we'll see where that all bleeds out, but it's,
But to answer your question, Commissioner Farrell, I was told that if that went down, Longview would be under 14 feet of water.
Yeah, I believe that. And
so it's a big deal.
Yeah.
and I can still remember all the news crap and everything from 40 some years ago now, 45 years ago.
Yeah.
That dam, the reason they drilled that tunnel, to try and keep that down, because if it ever goes over the top, it's just gonna wash it out.
Right.
But that dam was, a predominant chunk of it was glacier ice and stuff that got packed in there. Well, ultimately, that's gonna melt and find its way out of there.
Yeah.
And here we are 40 years later, I can't believe it
Yes,
hasn't
it's
done it
still-
yet.
And we still haven't figured out a solution for it in 45 years. That's government at its best.
And I think 45 years ago, after everything started to settle down, before they dredged the Cowlitz that one time, there was a lot of discussion when Mount St. Helens erupted and all the crap was coming down, and before they made a decision to come in, that there was debate about just sacrificing Longview, Kelso, Castle Rock, everything downstream, just letting it go, rather than trying to save it, tell everybody to pack up and move someplace else.
I'm just gonna
But-
sit up on my 500 feet and watch it, I guess. I won't be able to get out, but.
And the argument, I guess the winning factor was the fact that we got so much industry here.
Yeah.
Is what convinced them that they had to come in and dredge the river.
Hmm.
I'm going, well, industry's been shrinking
I
in
know
this
it.
county. So what's their urgency? If they're basing it on numbers, what's their urgency to save us now?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad the Forest Service asked to come in. We've been having them fairly regularly, so it'd be a good topic of conversation. On a positive note, on Friday, Commissioner Rader and I were at the new building dedication over LCC. I think that's gonna be, my impression, I thought it was gonna be a great addition.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna house existing programs in one building. They'll destroy an existing building because there was a parking concern. Well, that'll become,
Yeah.
they'll just moving the parking. They're moving the buildings, let's put it
I
that
think
way.
it's the building where the automotive is that they're gonna
Yeah.
get rid of and use that whole park.
So, and this has been a pretty good program. They got kids, according to their numbers, some good graduation rates and them coming out of that program and getting jobs right away. So
Yeah,
I
it was-
left feeling that was a pretty good project that
Too.
they're doing.
it was manufacturing, robotics. and
Welding,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I was talking with Councilman Karnofsky, and he was telling me that they're actually working on a program with Perry Tech to where the kids that are attending LCC can take some of the prerequisites and stuff to get into the Perry Tech program and have a collaboration with them.
I would love
Yeah.
that. They do real well.
Yeah.
I know there was work at one point in time, and I don't know where it is, to actually bring a satellite of Peritech over into the Kalama area, actually.
Yeah.
Which I also think would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah. So, anything else? We can take a 10-minute break till the others arrive. Okay, we'll recess for 10 minutes. Yeah, it only cost me so much a month. Okay, we'll we'll back from recess and we'll go on Public Works.
Good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. On the agenda this week is one of the biggest bid awards that Public Works has ever brought forward. We have the bid award for the joint South Cloverdale Road Comfort intersection improvement projects. We received 6 bids. The lowest responsible bidder was Jeffries Construction LLC. The bid came in at $7,256,372.86, which is over $1 million less than the engineer's estimate. This project is being, it's quite a bit under, but they were really tight. The first four bids were within $400,000 of each other. So his price was just a competitive for four bidders who thought they could do it for that price. This project includes road work and a relocation of the City of Kalama water line, which we did the interlocals for, might have been last week or the week before. We approved those. So of the $7 million, there's just over $510,000 of water line work that is the responsibility of the City of Kalama. So that brings the road work total down to $6,746,127 and some change. We are funding that through a consortium of funds. So we have STP funds of $2.4 million. The $400,000 of that going towards the water line relocation, CRAB funding of $1.25 million, and then ARPA funds of 2.3. So of the county road fund is approximately $1.2 million of county road fund for this project. We anticipate this project will start this summer, and we will probably have to do a suspension sometime this winter because we will not there's two large culverts as part of this project that we probably will not be able to complete with the fish window due to lead times on the bid items. So we will work and get as much work as we can get done, shut it down for the winter, and then start it back up sometime June, July next year to finish up those two culverts. We have met with this contractor. He's not somebody that we've worked with in the past, so we set up a meeting pre-award to have a discussion with him to make sure he felt confident that he could do this project, as did we. Because there's STP funding that is through WashDOT, we have to get their concurrence for the award, which we have done also, which is why the lead time between May 12th and June 3rd award. So we just had to go through and make sure we felt confident that this would be a successful project.
Boy, I know you've been working on this since I've been sitting here, and I'm assuming quite a long time before that too.
Yes,
It's been a long-term project.
It's been at least 10 years, I believe, that we've been working on this project. These larger projects take anywhere from 4 to 10, 12 years to conceive, get the funding for, design, and construct.
For my benefit, what are the net benefits of this project?
So so if you've ever come to the intersection of South Cloverdale and Confer, there is limited sight distance on Confer. So that portion of the project, we're lowering Confer Road in order to improve the sight distance. So that is one benefit. We are also straightening out some of those curves for both horizontal and vertical to improve safety. And we will reconstruct the whole roadway. And we have treatment in there for tire dust.
So is it have we had issues and accidents before that's spurred this?
So this is one of our developing areas. And so we try and look at some of our arterials and collectors in the developing areas of where do we want to make the improvements to prevent future accidents. I don't know the accidents off the top of my head. I can certainly look that up and have that available for tomorrow of the accident history through this section. But we do know it's developing. We know it gets a lot of pressure when there's any little glitch on I-5. This is where people try to sneak through. So those are the reasons we look at this. We're looking at South Cloverdale Road, Delameter, Coal Creek, South Silver Lake. Those are our larger, heavier traveled roads that we're bringing up to 12-foot lanes and shoulders so that we can keep the traffic moving.
But we're being proactive and forward thinking.
Yes.
Okay.
There's been talk once in a while if they ever look at another overpass, so isn't that at the end of, off of there?
Yeah.
Some design or some thoughts that it would make sense there. I think it's,
Yeah, we need something that
Yeah.
parallels the I-5 and
Yeah.
that Woodland section is the choke point because there is no good way to get from Kalama to Woodland. Green Mountain is not viable for anything besides passenger cars and you start shoving even a bunch of passenger cars up there and you just,
Yeah.
it's not efficient. And, you know,
It's just as big of a gridlock as I-5 is,
yes,
if not worse, because there's people who can't get out of their driveways.
yes.
Yeah.
wow, quite a project.
It's going to be quite a project. We're looking forward to another big project and hopefully seeing some good results out of it. And it'll benefit the fire district that sits right there, and our shop is along the route also.
Yeah.
Took the better time of what you were working on when I was here is just getting everybody signed off.
Yes, getting
The
everybody
easements,
signed off.
Yeah,
Easements, and then because that took so long, we had to revisit the environmental permits.
yeah.
So,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Rowley, Public Works. Item number 5, our second motion item for tomorrow is a bid award and contract execution with WeatherGuard for this building, a roof replacement here. We had 7 bidders on this. The low bid was with WeatherGuard for $423,752. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but we had to delay it for the agenda, and so we're just getting it back to the board now.
don't we have air conditioning and stuff planned on this at some point, or am I thinking of a different building?
AC in this building was more recent.
Was more recent, okay.
We did do the boilers last year.
Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking.
What did we ever decide with a busted window right here?
So it's out to bid right now. It's on SmallWorks roster and it's for replacement of all the windows up there. We did explore the roofing route and I think we got some instant feedback on that.
Yeah, I heard when you covered that up, it got pretty dark. I wasn't here, but I think Commissioner Farrell was.
So we'll bring that back to the board when we get a bid on that and
Just,
go from there.
The only alternative I could see would be hang a great big chandelier in there. Something that gave off light. Otherwise, it's gonna get really dreary in that section of the building.
Nice big spotlight. But just a quick and easy one. If any other questions on the roof?
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. So on the 11 o'clock, we've taken care of all the volunteer boards. I don't know if Jessica has anything. We have an executive session. Is Doug joining us? Is he available? Could you find that out and then we can do that ahead of time, not keep Judge on all day? Okay, so we'll hang on and wait for them. Well, we don't have it till 11, but that's fine. We're yeah. We try to be flexible unless somebody has something just specific to that. While we're waiting on that, I had Carolyn send me the letter she has going out because of the fee changes that will be happening from this latest legislature. I'm going to try and touch on that tomorrow if I have some time, because boy, these are obscene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's gonna get some feedback.
yeah.
Some of those, the increases are 3 times.
Well, recording fees,
Mary's license, $72 to $172.
assignments and substitutions going from 18 to 301.
Yeah.
Insane.
So she's trying to get the word out and I don't blame her. So her people don't get yelled at for carrying out the state's work.
Yeah,
And so if there's a few minutes tomorrow, I thought I might touch on that. Just to try and help out if we can.
Is gonna come over and do a request, but then she also has an executive session.
Okay, so we working on getting Doug on? Hi, Jessica. You got a couple requests?
I just have one request this morning, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. I do have two actually. Request to fill an Engineer Tech 3 construction inspector with Public Works. The employee's retiring at the end of June, so this would
Retiring
also,
at the end of June?
yeah, after 34 years.
Wow.
Wow.
So this would also include a domino request because it could be filled internally.
Say the sooner we get that out better. It's been hard to hire engineers, so
Yeah, this is a technician position, so it
should be a little easier.
should be easier.
Do we expect somebody in-house? Or no? I don't need to get too deep in the woods. I was just curious.
So I don't know if we have anyone internally, because we just filled one recently and we just had one signer, so I don't know if we'll have anybody else. The union position, so they could come from the road crew that I don't know about who has interest. So we'll post it if it's approved and then move forward from there.
Okay.
Now, Susan, is filling this position separate from the 2 that you were looking at?
Yes, this is a completely different, this is our construction inspector, so they spend all day out doing construction inspections, and in the winter, when we're not quite as busy, they do pavement ratings and review utility access permits and do items like that for us, some housekeeping work, so.
Okay. And what's the status of those other 2 positions?
We are still working on getting them filled. We have a couple more interviews this week, second interviews this week.
Good.
Okay. I'm good on filling this one. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
And then the next is a request from Office of Public Defense. They're requesting to start a public defense attorney in one of their open positions at step 6. Based off of their qualifications and experience
Their
that they bring.
experience, they're coming from this one yeah,
Yeah, they're coming from out of state
Out
and
of
have
state.
significant amount of experience.
okay.
And then I do have an executive session request, but it's also with Marin, so can probably do it after
Okay,
the other executive session.
okay,
And that's for collective bargaining.
okay, perfect. Thank you. Doug's getting on. Are you waiting for one more? Okay, we'll just hang out here. Thanks. the brush hogging my field on Sunday. It always cracks me up. I got a couple ravens that kind of hang out, and when I'm brush hogging, they come and they start flying. They're looking for mice and
Mice, yeah.
stuff. Start running.
Yeah, this week was a honeydew list weekend for me. I took 3 things off and she put 4 more on, so I didn't get ahead at all.
That's how honeydew lists work.
Well. Okay, we're just
Pick your
waiting
top
for,
3 and
for
they
one
go
more
to the
person.
bottom of the pile. Wait. Hers are more important.
Yeah. This is actually kind of nice. I don't get silence at home. I don't know what to do with myself right now.
Do my best not to disturb you.
COVID, where I was working, our boss, there was like 7 of them on the executive team, each split us, so 2 weeks at home and 2 weeks in and then switch. Those 2 weeks about drove me crazy. I told him I can't do this. I'm starting to talk through his ears.
I know, it only took me a few weeks. I had cabin fever.
I know, I said, I'm a baby boomer. I gotta get back in that office. You're driving me crazy. So,
You work for a living.
yeah. So we got who we need now? Okay, so we're gonna go into executive session on security. Any idea on, anybody want to give a time frame? About we start with 20 minutes and go from there? Okay.
The board is extending the executive session an additional 20 minutes until 11:02. The board is extending the executive session an additional 5 minutes until 11:07.
Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered. I know, Jessica had one. Okay. Okay.
There's nothing else we'd rather be doing on a day like today, huh?
I'm telling you, living the life.
Yeah, amen. I keep thinking I'm gonna throw a fishing pole in the trunk of my car just so I can drive over to the
Yeah.
Cowlitz River and start
Yeah.
standing on the bank, releasing stress, throwing something
There you go.
out into the water.
Getting a spinner in there.
Right until that sea lion comes up and grabs it.
Yeah, well, then I'll be facing a problem, a big one.
Okay, Ms. Jess, I know you have a executive session, contract negotiations. You
Yeah,
gotta-
collective bargaining,
Oh,
I would
collective
say
bargaining, I'm sorry.
10 minutes.
Collective bargaining. 10 minutes. Okay, we'll adjourn to executive session, collective bargaining, 10 minutes. Okay, back from executive session, no decisions rendered. Unless we have anything else, I think we're at the end. Think we're good, okay. We will adjourn till tomorrow morning.